طيب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم استغفرك واتوب اليك. First question says,
with regards to fasting in extreme heat for those of us who work in outside jobs, what it said.
what is said with regards to working in extreme heat outside. We say that what you should do is try your best to get some off time in Ramadan, if possible. If you can work overtime, triple overtime for Ramadan for the purpose of taking off, or if you can get a night shift when it's not so hot, or later on in the afternoon, try to switch and adjust your schedule. That is what you should do. Fasting is mandatory. It's obligatory, as we just read. If there's no other source of income that you have, and you feel like you're going to starve if you don't, that's a different story. فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ. And that's between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But for you to look for another job, a better job, a different schedule is mandatory. Mandatory. For you to try your best, earnestly, honestly, try your best to find another job, or at least a better time for the job. I'll take the late shift. You tell your job, I'll work together. Okay, you have to. Everybody understand this? Wallahu alam. That's in brief.
If two or more scholars differ, does that mean that the truth is only with one of them?
Question says, if two or more scholars differ, does that mean the truth is only with one of them? We say it all depends on the issue. There are some issues in which the truth could be on both sides. This is an understanding and that's an understanding. It's possible. And then there's some issues in which it's clear, cold, cut truth or lack of truth, in which the sawab is only with one of the two. And there are different types of ikhtilaf or al-khilaf. And that's a long discussion in itself. Always, is there a difference between khilaf and ikhtilaf? Is there a difference between ikhtilaf and khilaf? We're not going to get into that right now. But the concept of more than one type. One is called ikhtilaf al-tadad, and other is ikhtilaf al-tanawwu'. Ikhtilaf al-tadad means that there are two conflicting opinions. And there's no way of harmonizing between the two. Either one is way right or left. Fork in the road. Everybody understand this? Is it mandatory to grow the beard or just recommended? It's one of the two. Everybody understand this? And then there are other issues in which called ikhtilaf al-tanawwu', in which is a means of diversity. And it's not mandatory to go here or there. They're both possible. Such as the dua that you make when you open up your salah. Al-istiftah. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك تبارك اسمك وتعالى جدك ولا إله غيرك. Everybody understand this? And there are other different ways of opening up the dua, such as, oh Allah, Allahumma ba'id bayni wa bayna, make me far from my sins, like that between the east and the west. Wash me from my sins. With rain, hail, snow. Other hadith as well. Inni wajjahtu wajhi lilladhi ila akhirih. And which this narration here, that narration here, this, so on and so forth. And they're different on what's best, what's most preferable, which of the hadith is most authentic, which is shortest, which praises Allah and seeks forgiveness. And the list goes on. And what? And this goes on. So it depends on the issue of ikhtilaf. Is it ikhtilaf tanawwu' or ikhtilaf al-tadad? Everybody understand this? So it depends. Some issues, yes, there's more than one view that are both possible, mumkin. And there's some issues in which one opinion is the haq and the other one isn't the haq. Wallahu a'lam. That is in brief.
If a doctor recommends surgery, chemotherapy, radiation treatment, etc. to a wife and she doesn't want to take the treatment but her husband wants her to, does she have to obey her husband in this? If a husband wants his wife to get a chemical process on her head, perm, relaxer, etc.
That's two different questions. If a woman is advised by the physician to take chemotherapy, she doesn't want to, and the husband says that she does she have to listen to her husband? Once again, it has to be detailed. Who is the physician? What is his level of expertise and knowledge? And what is he basing it off of? Does she have cancer? Is she diagnosed with cancer? What type of cancer? What level of cancer? How much knowledge does the husband have? Because this is something that has a direct effect upon her body, upon her mind, upon her iman. It's a bit different. It's not necessarily pertaining to his rights, his hukuk. I want your hair to be red. It's all that. It says dye your hair. No, I want brown hair. It says no, I want red hair. It's a different story. Temporary hair dye. Everybody understands this, and some brothers may want other colors. Only Allah knows. You know, feet, so Allah Alam. What brothers? Allah Alam. It's something that's pertaining to her body. That's going to change her body. That's going to have a profound effect on her deen as well. It's not just that simple to say you have to obey your husband in this issue. It's not pertaining to his hukuk. It's a bit different, yani. I would never say that absolutely she has to obey her husband in this, because the husband could be totally ignorant of medicine, of sickness. The physician could be wrong. Seek Allah's help first and foremost. Make istikhara, isti'ana in Allah. Consult as many specialists as possible. Any type of medicine, different types of osteopathic, this and that, whatever the case may be. That's a big, long discussion and conspiracy about that, about cancer. Poison, chemotherapy, does it work, does it not work? Big, long discussion. It's not that simple for a man to just say you have to obey me and get the chemotherapy. It's not that simple. And Allah knows best. Next question.
If a husband wants to get his wife to get a chemical process on her head, perm, relaxer, etc., does she have to get one if she knows the harm in it?
We say to make things easy, if a husband wants his wife to perm the hair or straighten the hair or make the hair curly or whatever the case may be, she should try her best to please her husband. She should try her best to please her husband. As the Prophet ﷺ told that woman. He says, what level or status do you have with your husband? Because he's either your paradise or your hellfire. So a woman should try her best to please her husband. However, if she has something that's logical, she has some asl to this being harmful to my hair or my scalp, then the husband should be understanding. Why you want me to put this chemical in my hair anyway? And it's going to mess me up. And there are other ways of straightening the hair or relaxing the hair, however the case may be. But how did you marry the sister? When you married the sister, did she use perm or not? If she didn't use the perm, and you knew that she had a different type of hairstyle or natural hairstyle or whatever the case may be, it's not necessarily fair for you to try to force her into it now. It's not necessarily right. Or sister, if you met him and you were perming your hair, and now you don't want to perm your hair and he wants you to look like how he met you. Or we say perhaps use a perm that doesn't have lye or things like this in it. Find another natural way of straightening or relaxing your hair. Or perhaps find another type of hairstyle that will please your husband and attract your husband. And there are many different hairstyles and different types of hair. Some women have long hair, some women have short hair, some women have very thin hair, some women have very thick hair. Short, long, braids, this, that, culture. And most importantly, Akhi, is that if you love your wife, and if you're attracted to your wife, you should try to cooperate with her. And you shouldn't try to necessarily intrude on her beautification. Unless it's something that you really, really don't like. Unless it's something that you really, really don't like. But if it's not a super duper turn off, you should try your best to cooperate with her and not to invade on her. She's a woman. She has the 50 million bottles on a dresser in front of the mirror. This, that, this bangle, this accessory. Leave that up to her. And perhaps, if the husband will empty his cup, just a little, Akhi, leave it up to her. Let her do her thing. I have her style. I have my hair like this. It's long, it's curly, it's short, it's cut. Perhaps Allah will make you pleased. Perhaps Allah will put the pleasure in your heart. And there lies no doubt the hair is important to some people. It's not the most important thing on a woman. Everybody understand this? It's not the what? Most important thing on a woman. Everybody clear on this? So there has to be tafahum. There has to be cooperation and mutual understanding. طيب تفضل.
If you are traveling and an imam is leading prayer, 4 rak'ah, should you join the jama'ah or wait and pray on your own? Barakallahu feek.
No, join the jama'ah. Join the congregation, pray behind the imam. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu in the authentic hadith, Abi Hurairah in the Sahih, the Imam is made to be followed. In it specified, Musafir, Muqim, resident, traveler, Hanafi, Shafi'i, Zahiri, Ash'ari, he didn't specify. The Imam is made to be followed. Everybody understand this? The concept of the Jama'ah and its virtue. Khairan, inshallah. Right. We'll stop now for the adhan. After the adhan, we'll come right back, inshallah. You ready, Abu Naila?
What is meant by a terminal sickness? Can such a person feed a non-Muslim or a Muslim after Ramadan? What is... Oh, okay, sorry. That's a question.
What is meant by terminal sickness? Something that in most cases, and Allah knows best, because Allah, and only Allah, has the ability to cure. Absolutely. People that give medicine or massages or heal or this and that, water, different types of medicine in Islam. Don't think that we're just saying that you going to the doctor. It's different. Medicine's been around for years, centuries, before there was something called a hospital or this and that. Western things like this. Treatment that Allah allows. Allah is the one who gives the cure himself. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. As the Prophet has said, Allah is the one who cures. So therefore, something that in most cases is not going to go away. In most cases, it isn't something that's temporary. It isn't a sickness or an illness that comes and goes. It isn't a sickness that a person can recover from and get over in most cases, we said. In most cases. Something that's terminal. That the statistics, the sunnah of Allah, what Allah shows us, in most cases doesn't go away. And most people who get it, either one or two things happen. Either they totally triumph, knock it out and beat it, or it stays with them for the rest of their lives. Or certain sicknesses on certain levels and certain degrees in which your lifetime is basically what? It's going on downward spiral, as they say. So therefore, a sickness, in most cases, doesn't go away. A person gets into a car accident, breaks his leg, that's a sickness, that's an illness. He has to take IV, he has to take medicine, he has an infection, he got cut. It's one thing. 2 months, 3 months, you'll be walking, 6 months, got a therapy, treatment. It's not the same as someone who has level 2 cancer, diabetes, or this or that, so on and so forth, the different types of diseases and sicknesses that we have been tested with during these days. Allah keep us all safe and make us patient upon whatever we are tested with. So that's what's meant by a terminal sickness. As far as feeding someone after Ramadan, a non-Muslim, then the feeding should be done with Muslims. The food that is given should be given to a Muslim. Everybody understand this? It should be given what? A Muslim. And you feed whenever you have the ability to feed. In Ramadan or outside of Ramadan. Wallahu, that is in brief.
This question says, what is recommended regarding Tarawih Salah?
What is recommended regarding Tarawih Salah? The best guidance is the guidance of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. What did he do? He prayed it or not? When he did pray, how long did he pray? What did he recite? It's the best guidance. That's the best guidance. So if the Muslims have the ability to congregate and offer Salah to Tarawih, and they have someone that can recite the Quran, even if it's just Juz Amma or Juz Tabarak. It doesn't have to be as it is today, the Hafiz of the century, the Qari of the century. And it's not, no, this is reality. The Qari of the century, has to come and spell, put enough sihr on the people with his voice and how he recites and this and that. It's contracted and kada. He has to finish the Quran from Fatiha to An-Nas. There's a big long dua, there's a feast, this and that. The problem from so many aspects. The Sunnah of the Nabi al-Kareem, did he do that? Did he make that a requirement and a necessity? Did he recite in these number of raka'at? And the list goes on. So if someone has the ability to memorize and study and read the whole Quran, alhamdulillah. خَيْرُكُمْ مَنْ تَعَلَّمَ الْقُرْآنَ وَعَلَّمَهُ. Best of you are those who learn and teach the Quran. Allah has allowed, as the Prophet said in the authentic hadith, for the Nabi, Hasan al-Sawt, who has a beautiful voice. One narration says, يَجْهَرُ أَوْ يَتَغَنَّى, person to recite beautifully with the Quran. And there are many, many other hadith that we don't have time to get into to mention right now. About the virtue of the Quran, its memorization, its teaching, and its beautiful recitation. So if that is easy and simple, alhamdulillah, la bas. But going out of your way, going through hardships, whether there's some imams, and there's no personal attack on anybody, there's no personal attack on anybody. Some imams or some qadis or some people of the Quran who do not have beards on their faces. They shave their faces. They're not people who have outward righteousness. Only Allah knows what people do behind closed doors. Me, you, all of us. Outward righteousness. And he's a qari and a muqri, person who teaches Quran to others, leads the people in the salah. And he doesn't have a beard on his face. Kaif? How is this? How is this? How can he be the imam of the salah and he is zahir al-fisq? He's apparently, outwardly a fasiq. I didn't say he's a fasiq, he's zahir al-fisq. It's a mushkila. An imam is supposed to be someone who has outward and inshallah inward piety. Allah help us all. So the concept of going out the way, bringing someone who's just a reciter who has no deen. He's musbil, haliq, no beard, this, mashakil. Let alone ikhlas, sincerity, people praying just because of the voice, all types of problems. People making 20 rak'ats, 40 rak'ats. Well, it's not haram. What did the Nabi al-Kareem do? How many rak'at did he make? Isn't the best guidance Muhammad's guidance? And the list goes on. So the people should make the tarawih with that which is simple. If they have an imam or a qari who has a good voice, who has good tajweed, good recitation, he's upon the sunnah, alhamdulillah. Let him recite the Quran and let him fly. Let him benefit the people's hearts and their souls and their minds, alhamdulillah. Let the people have ikhlas. Let the people come and listen and enjoy the Quran and get those rewards and get the sins off their back. And let him follow the sunnah of the Prophet in the Tarawih. Not doing more than he did, less than he did, and the list goes on. Making this bid'ah dua, this dua that the Prophet never made for 20, 30, 40 minutes, rhyming. People are crying and weeping, and the moment he stops rhyming and finishes, the tears go back into people's eyes. Like a child. Child cries, he begs for something, you give him the toy, the tear does what? Instantly stops. As if the tear goes back into the eye. What is this, Yani? And then if anyone thinks I'm making this up or exaggerating, look in the Muslim world. And you find some masjids, unfortunately, this is a reality, they don't have the money for their basic things or for this and that, but when it comes to Ramadan, they're bringing the biggest, best, most expensive qari. And the basic, they don't even pay the imam. Or pay the imam enough. The one who teaches them on a daily basis, helps them on a daily basis, or even the Quran teacher, whose voice isn't that sweet and that nice, they'll give him peanuts. It's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. Everybody understand this? The concept of what has happened in the business of Tarawih. And there's a story that I can give about a masjid here in New York City. Well, I'm not going to give the story. When I was the imam of a masjid where I lived, and when I was here as a visitor, it said Mufti Wadiya, this is the house that the qadi stays in. It's like night and day. It's deep. The qadi comes in for a limited period of time, he recites the Quran, he leaves, he goes home. The one in the trenches fighting, struggling, teaching you fatwa's classes day and night. Mufti, the question. Just let him stay there. It's amazing.
In the hole, huh?
It's amazing, Allah. And it's all from the problems of going against what? Sunnah of the Prophet and the balance of the Nabi al-Kareem. This does not mean that a person should not recite the Quran beautifully. This doesn't mean that it's haram to. It doesn't mean that. But we said what's easy and simple and feasible, what? For the people. And the most important thing in the Quran is not just the voice of the person or the dua or how he rhymes, his lyrics in the dua. Allahumma kalam fi. What is this? What is this? So that's my advice on the Tarawih. Wallahu a'lam. I believe it's time to stop.